Hello, and welcome to the Wine Enthusiast podcast, your serving of wine trends and passionate people beyond the bottle. I'm Susan Kostrzewa, executive editor here at Wine Enthusiast, and in this episode, I talk on location in Midtown Manhattan with Kamal Kouiri, wine director of Molyvos and Ousia restaurants in New York City. Did you know that Greek wine varieties like Limniona date back over 3,000 years and were written about by Homer and Aristotle, but almost became extinct? We'll hear more about that, talk about the country's oldest and most interesting ancient grapes, and tap some top protectors of vine history that are saving these national treasures. And of course, we'll give you the skinny on some recently rated and excellent examples of Greece's heritage indigenous varieties. So I'm here with Kamal Kouiri. We're at Molyvos in New York City. Kamal and I have known each other for many years. He's really the one who introduced me to the love of Greek wine. And they're setting up for their next service, so thank you for giving us the time and space to talk about something super cool. So Kamal's one of the foremost authorities on Greek wine in the U.S., and he has access to some of Greece's most interesting and remote regions and is traveling there a lot. If it's new and weird, I always say if it's new and weird and wonderful and it's Greek, Kamal's your guy. So I think he's the perfect person to talk to today. So Kamal, one of the things, before we get into discussion of the Greek varieties, ancient Greek varieties that almost became extinct, which is a really interesting story, I would love just your kind of quick elevator pitch take on why you think Greek wine is such an amazing category for wine drinkers right now.
Thank you, Susan, first for having me here today. When I talk about Greece, I've always had goosebumps, and it's make me proud because the country itself did a wonderful job of reviving their grape varieties, indigenous grape varieties, as well as producing world-class wines. So coming back to the question, Greek wine overall are easy access to them via taste-wise. You know what I mean? They are food-friendly, they're very unique, they're terroir-driven, they are affordable, and it can go a long way. White wines, they're very bright, they're beautiful acidity, mineral-driven. The red are fresh and fruity, and still with the good combination with oak, and you can have some wine, the Vin de Garde, you can age, like for example, Sonoma Rose. So overall, what Greece offer on the table can compete with any wine in the world, without a doubt.
I think it's the full package too, because you just mentioned, they're affordable wines, they're unique wines, and I think that the market is really interested in that right now, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, especially as we talk about some of these really interesting indigenous varieties. So there's a lot to say about Greek wine. We could fill up 10 podcasts with great stories about Greek wine, but today we're going to really focus on indigenous, the heritage varieties of Greece, and especially the ancient varieties of Greece. And some of them were almost obliterated from the planet during the 80s and 90s. I've learned a lot about this as I've traveled through Greece and had discussions with winemakers about, this sort of trend that came to be in the 80s and 90s, which was a lot of planting a lot of international varieties. So Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Shiraz, all of these things, and pulling out these old ancient vineyards with these very unique varieties. I think that Greek producers felt pressure to either rip out the old vines and plant those varieties or just let the old vines die. And thankfully, some visionaries stepped in and either preserved or replanted varieties that had gone extinct. I think the first thing I would like to talk about is Assyrtiko, which is a white wine made on originating from the island of Santorini, which a lot of people know, a beautiful place. It is one of Greece's oldest varieties, and it has an origin, as I said, on Santorini, and it's grown in volcanic soil there. I think it actually may be one of the oldest continuously produced varieties in the country, and it dates back several millennia, which we'll talk more about. A lot of varieties in Greece are thousands of years old. It's not that unique. But I feel like Assyrtiko is having its time in the limelight right now. A lot of that comes from the Psalms and people like you who've really championed it. So can you tell us a little bit about Assyrtiko's history and its unique growing character and why you think it's becoming so popular now?
Going back to what you said earlier, it's when the winemakers went in the 80s and 90s to study in Bordeaux and Dijon, and when he came back, they only knew to start working with those grape varieties, international grape varieties. But the back mind, they were ready to move on when the able to establish the trusts between consumer and them. First showing this international grape to show them how they're able to achieve or make great wine, and then eventually to start thinking about this indigenous grape variety. Assyrtiko is one of the luckiest grape. First because Greece went through a lot of diverse problems, in history with the Ottoman Empire occupation. That's really hurt the country in the viniculture aspects of growing grape to produce wine. So they were taxing them, and eventually they couldn't able to afford that, so they move to more a product that they can survive economically. So Assyrtiko from the originated from the Cyclades, and is especially in the island of Santorini, was protected by the Venetians. So that's at least in the economic part of it, it was protected by this, the route of the Venetian through Santorini was protected. So that's one. Two, the fact that the terroir allowed for this grape variety to survive, no phylloxera. So the cycle of life of this grape never was jeopardized because there's no phylloxera. So these grapes survived from, like you said, millennium, from thousands of years. So you have that. Then the fact that Venetian was the best commerce people in the world, right, from the 14th century all the way. So you have these people taking this grape from Santorini, taking it to Italy, and then the Vinsanto eventually was produced through that. So you have this. So people were in touch with grapes for thousands of years. So now coming back to this era, the grape that produced in Santorini is very unique. It's grown in this Jurassic Park vineyard. If you're in the winter there, you say, what is the vine? And eventually you find them coming from walls, everywhere. Every inch, it's this kind of vine coming down. There's only like hotels or vines. That's the only thing that exists in that island. And you have this grape that gives you a lot of power. It's a powerful grape. You can handle it same as a red. So it's very, and you can do a lot of things with it. For me, Assyrtiko is a noble grape. You can produce beautiful dry. I know a lot of people are crazy about oak, but still you can make oaked Assyrtikos. You can age Assyrtiko.
Sparkling Assyrtiko. I've seen a lot of versatility now in that particular, variety. Yes. Okay, well, so we've talked about Assyrtiko, but there's a long list of indigenous varieties in Greece that date back thousands of years. Some of these are familiar, again, Assyrtiko, Xenomavro, Moscofilero. These are varieties that, a lot of Americans may have at least seen and are imported into the U.S. But some of the most interesting stories of old grapes that almost didn't make it are more unknown. So I just tasted a Plito from Crete, which is a white wine, and producers like Lyrarakis have brought back into planting and fashion. Another one I just tasted is a Limniona, which is a red wine that originated on the island of Lemnos and was popular with Aristotle and Homer. I mean, these are grapes that were talked about in the antiquities. They're recorded as being favorites and being, widely consumed. These are grapes that are still being made now or have come back into fashion. I think I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about some of the indigenous ancient grapes of the country that most interest you. Ones that had a rough route or were almost made extinct, and maybe talk a little bit about some of the producers you think have been instrumental in saving these ancient grapes.
Well, there is a lot of indigenous grape varieties. Then when we talk about, we say 300 grape varieties, there is 300 grape varieties. Some of them play a big role in the wine as a single mono variety. Some of them as a supporting cast, for the blend. But eventually, there is some varieties as well. Like, for example, we go back, you mentioned Lyrarakis, for example. If you go back, say, 20, 25 years ago, the same grape Plito was a blend in Vin de Crete. So you have these old grapes that they're sourced from the vineyard, press, put the label Vin de Crete, and you're happy with that, So you have this Plito, you have the Daphne, you have Romaiko, which is one of the ancient grape. You have Trapsathiri, you have Villano, of course, the queen of Crete. So you have these varieties all were planted all together. So now they're focused on on putting them as a mono variety. So this takes a lot of time, takes a lot of efforts, takes a lot of money. And these small producers are really putting their hearts into this project. So you have Lirarakis, that's Daphne and Plito. You have Rio Vasiliou, the father of Malagousia, that brought Malagousia when he was working in Porto Caras, and brought this grape variety to life, from central Greece. You have the Limnio, which is the first Porto Caras also able to put it back in life and commercialize it. And now you see people want to do the Limnio because they're interested about this grape. So the Limniona also by Tsililis from Theo Petra. You have Domaine Zafirakis, which is another Limniona producer. You have Mavrudi, which is a clone, nothing to do with before. Mavrudi was a blend of red, but this is a Mavrudi, which is a unique grape from Traki, which is people are working with Anatolikos vineyards. You have Vidiano, a grape that few producers are doing very well, and Wine of Crete are doing focusing on that grape. Like Karvitakis winery doing very good, Manosakis winery very good, Dulufakis making the winery, Lerarakis doing another style of it, and also you feel that the grape is so unique that my friend Nikos Karadzas went to Crete to produce a project which is made from Viviano because he believes in that grape. So you have all these grapes, and there is more grapes coming in. Mavrodaphne, I know is an ancient grape, but at least we changed the style of it. Now we're going to dry Mavrodaphne, because also the winemakers get wiser a little bit. You know what I mean? They understand, okay, this is tradition, but listen, let's make this something different because we know that wine can give us some different profile.
And that's a really good point, because I think when you have this heritage grape, I call it a heritage grape, when you have this sort of, legacy grape, there's pressure because you have people who've been producing that throughout, in some cases just for the family. I mean, I think some of these vineyards of these ancient varieties were really just being, over the centuries, just became family, or small production. But you have to decide how much you want to innovate on the approach to them and how comfortable you are with that, because there is an association with a style in these ancient grapes, but then there's also the public or the contemporary palate, and there's pressure there. So how do you feel that these producers have done? I feel there's a great new generation of young people coming in and producing these wines, and that's part of why we're seeing them on the market.
For sure, yeah. I see that a lot. The good thing about now we have a lot of. Just give an example. Say 10 years ago, we're about 500 wineries. Now they're 1,300 wineries. What tells you? That tells you now most of the wineries are under 18,000 bottles production. That's what we call meso production. You know what I mean? So you have all these wine growers that their kids decided, Grandpa, we're going to make wine in a few years. They go to college, they go to University of Thessaloniki or Athens, get the degree, go abroad and study and put their internship in different countries. Before, everybody want to go to France. Now you see them, UC Davis, you see them in Australia, you see them in Piedmonte, you see them in Strasbourg. So what you have here is a collection of thoughts, okay? You have one indigenous grape variety, collection of thoughts. So everybody's making it different. So that now we have one grape variety that gives you different style, and that's also open up the gap in the palates. That's and there is challenges with this grape because the economically Greece is still struggling. So they put a lot of effort in that. So they put everything in. So they put everything in, and they take on the challenge because to revive these grape varieties takes time. I have a story. I don't want to say the winemaker, but I know this gentleman that brought this grape, indigenous grape, and told the government this is a Syrah, because if he told him that they want to bring back this grape variety, they will not allow him to plant it. So just to see it, not to put a lot of effort on it, just on his small plot, planted this indigenous grape variety and see how it reacted to the one. He was so excited, then went back to the government and say, you know what, because it's government in Greece to work with those Unfortunately, it's a little tough on the winemakers. So
I would like to talk a little bit about why you think it's so important for a country like Greece. We just talked about all of the roadblocks that can happen, but why do you think it's so important for Greece to double down on these ancient varieties, these unique varieties, these historic varieties? What do you think? What's the point of doing that if it's so hard?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard, and that's what they have. That's what they have. You know what I mean? That when God gives you something, that's what you have. That's where you go. Don't go somewhere else. Everything is in front of you. Everything it's hard work, no doubt, and they know that, and that's what I love about them is that they know it's hard, and they know it's gonna be tough, and they know they're gonna spend, thousands and thousands of euros, but still they want to go and do it. You know what I mean? Because they want to prove the world wrong. They have something on top of their shoulders, because nobody gave them a chance.
Actually, Kamal and I were talking a little bit about, vinification in ancient times, whether the wines that we taste now, even if the varieties are the same, if they're the same wines. And I do want to talk a little bit about Retsina in a second.
Yeah, of course.
But, obviously there are differences in how things were made and vinified and how they were stored and everything else. But can we, let's go back just quickly to Retsina, which most, I would say Americans, do associate Greek wine with Retsina. That used to be a problem. I think, there were some great Retsinas being made domestically, not a lot of great ones being exported. Now there's some really cool stuff that's happening with Retsina. Yes. But Savatiano, which is the grape that is made, Retsina is made from, very ancient grape, right?
Yes, of course. Well, Savatiano is the most planted white grape variety of Greece. It's planted around Athens, in Attica. Basically, you have bunch of villages around Athens. Let's think about ancient time, and you have this big, town with all this civilization. They love to eat and drink and party, so they need this grape. So you have all this hills planted with a grape, Savatiano. So Savatiano for me is one of the misunderstood grapes. But thank God there is wineries like Domaine Papaianakos and Milonas and other wineries that bring it to the next level. You know what I mean? Low yield now, because before was the base of Retsina, because there was a reason for that. It was overplanted, over extracted, done quickly, then was not even protected, oxidated. So what they did, they put resin to hide all that misleading, and you have this pungent, not. Then maybe in the 80s, 70s, the people, the Americans, when they went to Greece to vacation, they loved it because you know what? They had this beautiful atmosphere around them, happiness, fun, sunshine, good food, super cheap. And then you have this Retsina, and they're having fun with it. So they have this recollection about this Retsina. And then even now when people come in, I give them the new Retsina, and they say, this is not Retsina. They want that diesel,
pine resin, slam
soap,
you over the head.
Yes, they want that. But now you have these wineries that really, you feel Retsina is a wine. Yeah. It's a traditional wine of Greece, especially around Attica, which is, is made everywhere. But the traditional wine of Greece, Retsina mainly. There's other one that take Retsina to another level. So you have this beautiful product, which is the heritage of Greece. For me, when you say Retsina, you think about Greece again, made with Savatiano. The wine can really do very well. Sometimes sometimes I'm moved to eat some sushi, and then I pick up a Retsina and you open it with sushi. It works very well.
It's amazing. It's an incredible food pairing wine.
Yeah, definitely fried sardines.
And I think the old style was hard to pair with food properly. Yes, and now you're getting these much more delicate, sort of refined styles of Retsina.
The Retsina was the black mark on Greek wines. The Greeks worked very hard to take the tarnish image on that, and now we have some beautiful Retsinas. They make also rosé now, so there is a lot of they're more playful right now with the Retsina aspect of it, but still the classic one made from Savatiano or other grape is delicious, and you can do a lot of things with it.
Okay, so we're talking about ancient varieties, so it's only appropriate that we taste one of the wines we've been chatting about. So let's open this up. It's a Limniona from Meteora in Greece. It's the Selili. Diapetra. Okay, this is where I need help from the pros.
Limniona from Theopetra from Meteora.
Thank you, from Meteora. So I'm going to talk about this later. We're throwing a lot of names and difficult pronunciations at everyone. There will be in the episode notes. We'll have all the details, so that if any of this is hard to pronounce for you or understand, we gotcha. Okay, so Limniona. This is one of the grapes that we talked about. One of the truly ancient grapes of Greece. It's a red wine. It's. Honestly, this was one of my favorites of wines that I tasted in this last round for the buying guide that I did. And, talk to me a little bit about what you love about this wine.
First of all, is 100% Limniona. It's from Meteora, organically farmed grapes, low yield. The wine, red vinification and age in French and American oak for 12 months, and then see another 12 months in the barrel before it's released. I love the aromas of these wines. Ruby red with nice garment, and then you have aromas of spice, of dark fruits, cherries.
I've got cherry and sort of dried herbs and a lot of anise, and just a beautiful, really aromatic wine. And I think one of the things I love about this wine is it really does have this great structure to it. It's got that minerality, which again, Greek wines has in spades, but this really nice minerality, good complexity. Again, the thing with this wine that I think is interesting is I could see this being it's a versatile wine in that I could see somebody who loves a Cabernet drinking this, somebody who loves a Pinot Noir drinking this. It kind of spans a lot of styles and tastes.
Well, I love like you said, I love definitely the structure, the minerality that's really going through that fruits. You feel that, almost like that, almost terroir driven, but you feel like almost like a red slate character. That the vineyards are and you have the savory elements of sage, little bits of some urban notes, and it has a lot of dimension with fruit characters. So you get that nuance, a little bit on the light spiciness, like more pink peppercorn. But you can drink this blind, and you may think different thing, like Susan mentioned. You know what I mean? But the most important thing is when you taste this wine, you're gonna enjoy it. So that's what I say always. Taste something, and then realize if you like it or not. You cannot judge it from the outside. So this wine is really, and also I love the aftertaste. It's really pleasant. The tannins are supple, and I love the acidity. What
do you think that Aristotle and Homer and all the guys who loved Limniona would have been eating with us? Probably lamb. Probably some of the things that you were just saying.
Maybe lamb with some grape leaves. That's lamb. You get the vineyards. You get some wood from the vineyards. You have your lamb. They find old techniques. Old techniques to keep it moist. Put some grape leaves on top of it. Maybe put some wine to keep the juice flowing. That's I'm sure that's what they had in.
What's the hottest new trend in wine cellars? VinoView by Wine Enthusiast. VinoView will change how you cool and display your favorite wines. The patented matrix shelf design displays wine labels forward to showcase your favorite bottles. It comes standard with 12 built-in rolling shelves, each comfortably holding 12 750 milliliter bottles of all shapes and sizes. With a 155 bottle capacity, VinoView is the only wine cellar of this type that can hold the number of bottles it advertises, guaranteed. And it's not only sleek in design, it also has a state-of-the-art compressor cooling performance. Wine Enthusiast VinoView is available exclusively from the Wine Enthusiast catalog. Visit wineenthusiast.com and find out why customers are calling VinoView awesome, beautiful, and a must-have product. To experience VinoView, visit wineenthusiast.com or call one of our experienced wine storage experts at 800-356-8466. Okay, so we've been talking about ancient varieties. We've been talking about the circuitous route of ancient varieties in Greece. So it makes me think I'm a lover of literature, and I'm a lover of the Greek classics. So when I started this beat, I was thrilled because I love all the stories of Greek tragedy and classics. So I'm going to put Kamal on the spot a little bit, and I want to know. You get to drink one wine with one ancient Greece personality. Who is it and why?
That's a tough question for me. Maybe it's in. I will say maybe Athena. I don't mind drinking a beautiful glass of wine with one of the beautiful ladies.
Which glass of wine would it be?
Or
which variety do you associate with Athena?
I will associate Savatiano. So why not Savatiano from a nearby vineyard with Athena? That will do it for me.
That sounds great. I think just this category of wines is so intriguing. There's so much history. There's just so much heart, yes. And the cultural aspect of what is made in Greece. There's just a lot of stories and a lot of great producers. So, Kamal, thank you so much, and thank you for also helping to preserve these varieties because you're, in your advocacy, you're really helping to protect all these heritage grapes.
Well, thank you for having me, and really. What I am really is I'm just a storyteller. There's a lot of people behind the scene, and in Greece, and when I go in, I taste their wine, I hear the stories and struggle, and triumph as well. So that's what I am. Because without those people in Greece, I am nothing. That's the truth, and that's what I try to do. Even my next project is having a wine list with the title 1,000 wines, 1,000 stories. So that's the idea, and that's what we do here. It's just, please try Greek wines. Just give them a chance, open a bottle, and go for it, and you're not gonna be disappointed. I promise.
Amazing. Cheers. Happy to be enjoying this with you. Thanks, Kamal. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Wine Enthusiast podcast. We talked about so many exciting and different ancient varieties in the episode, but to recap 3 recently tasted gems that are perfect to pick up now, try Domaine Sagalis's 2017 Seven Villages Amirovili Assyrtiko from Santorini, 93 points and $80, the Salili Theopatra Estate 2015 Limniona from Meteora, 90 points and $38, and the Lyberakis 2017 Saradis Vineyard Plito from Crete, 87 points and $21. Subscribe to the Wine Enthusiast podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you find podcasts. And if you liked today's episode, we'd appreciate a 5-star review and comment. And please tell your friends to check us out too. For more wine reviews, recipes, guides, and stories, visit Wine Enthusiast online at winemag.com.